There's a lot going on in the pipeline. What's the ambition that we set for 2030 of 80 billion is driven by, I would say, three different elements. The first element is the products that we have today and the indications we have today and growth in those, and that's sort of what you see in the quarterly performance today. The second element is the current products that are on the market, but what we call life cycle extension. So entering into, for example, additional indications or expanding indications in other tumor types, et cetera. That's a second element. And then the third element is new molecular entities. So these are brand new molecules which we've discovered, we're working on, that are in phase 2 or phase 3 clinical studies, and hope that we'll be successful in them and we'll launch them by 2030. We have set an ambition of achieving this revenue, but also launching 20 new molecular entities by 2030. Having 25 blockbusters, so that's products over $1 billion in revenues in the year by 2030. And what's going to bridge the gap? If you look at the studies we have ongoing, we will have probably about 40 studies in the next 18 months. So by end of 2025 that we hope to read out. And that will give us more confidence with the trajectory that we're on achieving that 2030 ambition. So, this is it's a risk business. Obviously, we take risk every day. We invest 22% of our R&D, of our revenue in R&D. So it's a very R&D heavy business. And, we hope that, our studies are successful to achieve those goals.
Are governments your friend or foe right now in terms of the UK being an unfavorable or favorable environment? There's also the threats of IRA potentially being rolled back under President Trump. How do you guys sort of think about government interaction with your company?
Governments are a very important stakeholder for us, in the U.S. As well as outside the U.S. Many systems, healthcare systems are single payer systems. So we do work very closely with governments. The most important thing for us is to make sure that we have, once we've spent the money and developed innovative medicines, whether it's for cardiovascular disease or oncology, that patients actually get access to those medicines, and we can make an impact in their lives and, from diseases they're suffering from. And in that way, we need to be able to demonstrate that these drugs have value and are bringing value to the patients and to the healthcare system. And we work very closely with governments and with systems to make sure we get access to those medicines.
Dr. Sarin, I always joke on the show that when I come back in the next life, I want to be a healthcare M&A banker, because it seems every Monday we come in and there's another deal out there. How do you and your company think about M&A to kind of drive top line growth versus the R&D that you've already talked about?
So the ambition that we set for 2030, the 80 billion, does not include any major M&A. We are always looking from a scientific standpoint, not only within our own labs and identifying, what could be the next most promising molecule, but also looking outside and science that is happening in universities and biotech companies and so forth. Over the last year and a half, we've invested close to 7 billion in doing licensing transactions and partnerships and smaller M&A transactions that help to build our pipeline and really fit very well strategically with us in terms of the ambition that we have, and particularly in new therapy areas where we've made some investment, but it can help us leapfrog into the field, for example, in the case of cell therapies or in the case of radiopharmaceuticals, and accelerate the investments that we're already making. So, we're always looking for those types of partnerships.
So this is a really un-CFO-y question to ask you. What's the coolest drug that you guys are working on right now? The one thing that you're most excited about and a potential breakthrough there?
I don't know if it's an uncool or maybe it's unfair. It's hard to pick from your children, right? So there are just so many exciting things happening, and every few weeks we get some new data that makes us excited. So it's really hard to pick a favorite child. But there's a lot going on, and we live in very exciting times where not only is what we do in AstraZeneca is important, but science is evolving so quickly, and technology is evolving quickly, and we're sort of at the forefront of that innovation.